Hey guys, thanks for tuning into InRangeTV. We're going to do something crazy weird and actually talk about real life current events.
Modern stuff. I mean, extraordinarily modern events.
Right now happening.
Yes, news articles that are coming out today.
So specifically Cody Wilson.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, Cody Wilson got all over the headlines for uploading 3D printer plans for a 3D printed pistol, the Liberator pistol. It's big news. He put them up on the net. Torrent networks, I think.
Once you put something up on the net, it never gets off the net. Doesn't matter where it distributes.
Yeah.
It'll distribute through any venue possible.
Actually, yeah, I think it was on his own website for about 8 seconds, and then it hit the torrent network.
Can't stop the signal.
Yeah. And then he actually got a cease and desist notice and a lawsuit from the U.S. State Department charging that he had violated ITAR by distributing technical data on firearms, on weapons,
and
exporting it.
And really a very inept weapon at this point, because the concept of 3D printing guns right now is very embryonic.
Yes, this is a single-shot, small caliber pistol. I don't remember what the original ones were, but they were 32 or 380.
Doesn't matter. It fires around.
Well, this has been in litigation for years now, and in a really remarkable turn of events, the Justice Department has settled the case and basically dropped all of their charges against him, leaving him free to repost the material. Not that it isn't available on 10,000 different torrent sites already. But a really, really cool turn of events. And this is something that we've actually been talking about for a little while, right?
Yeah, predicting, quite honestly. Well, a lot of the audience wasn't able to attend, but 2 years ago, specifically, exactly 2 years ago today, or right now, because Defcon's coming up in a week, we were at Defcon and we presented on this very topic. Not specifically this directly, but we talked about the fact that what's going to happen in the future is that certain old firearms designs will be more applicable to 3D printing.
Right.
3D printing technology right now is still early, but 3D printing technology is going to change and advance rapidly. And as that does, some of the older designs from the past that were using less than optimal manufacturing capabilities and materials will become relevant again.
And totally novel designs will almost certainly appear in ways that I don't know that, well, I certainly can't effectively predict right now. But what you've got is, like, 3D printing works differently than it's additive manufacturing instead of manufacturing based on cutting material away from a part. And from a manufacturing point of view, this is a really radical change. For example, if you wanted to build a golf ball that has a honeycomb design inside of it,
you could.
You can't do that with a mill because you have to be able to put a cutter inside that golf ball somehow. Well, with a 3D printer, with additive manufacturing, you can create this internal structure as you're building the part, and you end up with a sealed sphere that has features inside of it.
It's like a Star Trek replicator.
Kinda is, yeah. So our SkyTalk at Defcon was all about, like, what are the implications of this and what are some possibilities for things that we're going to see as a result.
So it's interesting you come at this from the manufacturing implications. I come at it from the socio-political ramifications.
Right. Obviously, those are probably even more significant.
They're both. They're both significant because as 3D technology improves, what you're talking about will mean this might be one of the final situations, the final road marks that we make in which the actual development design of firearms could radically change.
Could.
But it also means another thing, in that as 3D printing becomes more democratized and that technology becomes improved and it falls into the hands of the average man across the world, this is the new Gutenberg press.
Yeah.
When you go back to the history of Europe, the people of Europe, a lot of the people of Europe were controlled under the Catholic Church, and they could not even read the Bible that they were being told to believe in.
Right.
Luther comes along, Martin Luther, and with the ability of the Gutenberg press, suddenly democratizes the Bible and provides it to the people in their native tongue.
Here, read it yourself.
They can read the book now and then be like, that's not what I remember hearing at the sermon, or maybe it is. But the reality is now the knowledge is brought to them at their level, and 3D printing and 3D technology is going to do that for the average individual in many ways, including firearms.
Yeah. So we've seen the internet provide basically unlimited and unrestricted information available to anybody on the planet who has a connection to the system. And we're going to see 3D printing pretty much over time do the same thing as far as physical goods. It's not quite an exact parallel because, of course, there are many other challenges with 3D printing regarding different materials. You can 3D print yourself a plastic toy right now pretty easily. You can't do the Star Trek replicator thing and 3D print a glass of tea Earl Grey hot.
But it will happen. Let me say that. I don't know when. We're not going to get Earl Grey hot, but the ability to do metal, like sinter metal
Oh,
printing.
absolutely. Metal is already here.
The firearm thing will come,
Yes.
and it's not far off. And so this means that this is now the Gutenberg press of 2018. And when this happens, what does this mean for the regulatory control of firearms worldwide?
It's dead. That's
It's
what it means.
dead. This means that information is now where the control mechanism is going to try to be.
Right.
And I related that back in the speech to our presentation back to the old crypto wars in which they tried to control the flow of information and data such as cryptography, which was impossible,
Right.
but they tried. And while this lawsuit that currently fell apart against Cody Wilson is the first step in a progressive way, I don't think that that fight's over. We're going to see things like DRM protections inside printers. We're going to see attempts to control the flow of the data themselves. I think we'll see a new, maybe not, let's hope not, but I think we're going to see a new crypto war against this type of information.
I think while they may try, it's going to be so hopeless from their perspective that I don't think we even need to pay attention to it.
They failed then and they'll fail again.
But they're going to fail so much worse this time.
That's
people
true.
People aren't even going to notice.
Remember, the crypto wars then was before the internet was what it is now. Back then, we were literally faxing copies of the code or printing the copies of the code on T-shirts.
Faxing.
There was faxing going on. Yeah.
I think I have a fax machine, like in a drawer with my
But the
pager
point,
and my
but
laser.
the point, but literally, people also might remember that when the DVD decryption code was a problem, or the Blu-ray one, they printed it on T-shirts because it was no longer electronically controlled
Now
data.
it's free speech.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do about it now?
So that's going to happen with this. So what this means is what we're going to have to see is there's going to be a worldwide, really Platonic plate paradigm shift to how the world's going to have to consider what they think they want to do with firearms control.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was our SkyTalk, and SkyTalks are not recorded at DEF CON for intentional reasons. They're meant to be the real DEF CON. So we never had a recording of that, but what we do have is the old presentation.
Yeah, the PowerPoint slides that we used for it. So we're going to go ahead and post those up where any of you guys can download them and take a look if you're interested.
Yeah, so look at the link in the description below. I'll give you a link to the PDF version, which will not have the video elements. There are video elements in it.
It's true, there are.
I will also post the actual PowerPoint itself and the Keynote version because that's what I did it in, but all three of those. And if you have the ability to look at PDF, you can look at it. Obviously, if you have the ability to look at PowerPoint or Keynote, that's even better because you get the video elements. But now you finally get to see at least an idea of what we talked about 2 years ago at DEF CON, which is when I looked at the news, I'm like, that was only 2 years ago. Kind of fascinating.
Yeah, so it'll be really exciting to see where this goes in the next 5 years.
And I think we'll be covering a lot more of this kind of stuff in InRange soon because this is just the beginning of the iceberg of this fight.
Yeah.
Digital fight.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for tuning into this. If you like this kind of stuff, InRange is where it's going to be at. If you want to support us on Patreon, we are completely funded only by Patreon. That's you guys. Please consider doing so. If you can't, please subscribe to one of our 5 distribution networks, all available on InRange.tv.